Well, everyone is very sad that V8 engines are dying, disappearing, and going away. With the new CLS Mercedes, they don't even make a V8 anymore. So if you want a proper V8, you have to go to the used market, like this 2012 CLS550 Benz with about 100,000 miles on it, and it goes for around 22 grand here at Carry Imports in North Carolina. And that's where I'm doing this review at. Because if you truly do want to buy this particular car, I wouldn't touch it without Carry Imports warranty. That's going to be a must. Because yes, this is a V8. Yes, it's ballistically quick. Like, my gosh, this is quicker than what the numbers would suggest. But here's the things, this is now a 10-year-old vehicle. You're going to want a warranty. Don't be a hero. Don't try to work on this by yourself and try to buy a crane from Harbor Freight and think you're going to drop the engine and be a superhero. Pay a couple grand, get the warranty, be done with it, service it at the dealership. That's the smart way to own stuff like this. Because that's kind of the purpose of these reviews, okay? I'm trying to show the normal person that cars like this don't have to be out of reach. You just kind of have to know what you're doing with it. But enough of that, I'll leave Carry Imports information down in the description box below if you want to buy it. Let's go ahead and let's transition over into the exterior first before we get into this drive. This is a CLS Benz, right? It's actually based upon the E-Class, but this looks way cooler than an E-Class. That's the primary reason for wanting to buy this. It's the first car ever to be introduced as a four-door coupe, and it obviously started this trend with the RS7, with the BMW 6 Series, and it's great. I love it. This car has so much character, so much swagger. It looks way different than any traditional car, any traditional sedan out on the road. Comes to a halt just fine. We have your 19-inch wheels wrapped in 255 wide Goodyear tires in the front and 285 tires in the rear, so it's a staggered setup. This is not the 4MATIC. That's why the rear end is kind of getting squirrely there. And the main reason why you're interested in this car is because of the twin turbocharged V8 engine, producing 400 horses, 440 pounds-feet of torque. And it is shocking just how many people are still looking at this car. It's amazing how much attention this 10-year-old Benz attracts. It's always fascinating because this really is like a dream car for many people. This is a car that people are aware of when it was new and they really desired it, and now it's actually at a price point that people can afford, but most people might not know that. Anyway, let's just get this up and going here. There's a lot of twin turbocharged cars out on the road today, and there are cars that make similar horsepower to this, but this feels way faster. It might not technically be faster, but it feels it. It really gives you that gut-wrenching feel. It really pushes you back into your seat. That's what I love about the Mercedes power plant. Another thing to keep in mind, I've done a full review on the CLS550 AMG 2016 model year. So if you want to see my review on the last V8 powered AMG 63 CLS, then check out that video. It will be in the description box. But I'll be honest, you don't really need the CLS63. I don't think that's necessary. I think this regular 550 model with the 7-speed automatic transmission is more than enough. This is exceptionally comfortable. It's not quite as ironed out as the S-Class models are, but then again, that's okay. This is trying to compete with the 5 Series and a little bit more of a sportier edge type of car. Honestly, I like the way that this car drives more than the 5 Series. Again, it just gives you that impression that this is a very tight feeling, quick machine. Although on paper, it might say otherwise. The BMW might outperform this on a track or something, but out on the street, this is way more exhilarating to drive. It's the feeling that counts. The engine is muffled. It's not a firecracker of an engine. You just get that subtle kind of V8 burble. But the thing with turbocharged engines is they're going to be muffled. If you want to open this up, you have to do like a Rentec kit or like a tune on it or something like that. Something that's not going to void your warranty. That's what I would probably look into. But so yeah, definitely traction control intervening there, because this is a lot of power that this is putting down. I mean, it almost feels electric the way the power comes on. It's so impressive. Other things to note, I like the steering feel. It's direct, it's precise, it's correctly weighted. It's not like some of the BMWs of the era where it's like super overweighted for no reason. This has way more character than the Audi products to drive. Audis are very quiet, very comfortable, but they don't really feel super exciting to drive. This is rated to get around 16 in the city, 25 in the highway. Obviously, you do have to be using premium fuel, and clearly if you drive it a little bit more lead-footed like I am, you're not going to be getting 16 in the city. It's going to go down to like 13 or something. Another thing, this is a very quiet vehicle as well. It doesn't even utilize double pane glass, but there's hardly any wind noise with it. Or tire noise, so it's quiet, it's comfortable. It's just not like S-Class levels of hyper smoothness, nor do I care, because you're sacrificing some of that magical serene quality for a better driving dynamic. So this is more of my flavor. You know, I know Theodore Young, I know you watch all these videos, and I know you love the S-Class, and I do too. I love the big body swagger of it, but there's something about this CLS, I just really enjoy driving this a lot more. And I don't think you need a 63 model. Maybe the resale value of a 63 might go up in the future. I don't know. Hindsight is 2020. But this is pragmatically all you need. Now, a couple of things to note here, okay? This particular model actually utilizes air suspension. I'm not a fan of that. Yeah, you can get a warranty and you can maybe cover it, but here's the thing. I would rather just replace these air struts with like a Strutmasters conversion kit, make it into springs, traditional springs, and I think that would be better for it. And also at this price point, don't expect perfection, okay? There's a lot of little cosmetic errors with it. All the tint on this car is pretty jacked up. You can actually see little bits and pieces flaking off here. There's bits of the interior trim, like the window switches. That black trim piece is kind of coming off a little bit. And typically these luxury cars from the factory, they'll come with this almost like a PPF to protect the edges of the door. Well, that's kind of come off a little bit. It's kind of like cracked and, you know, kind of degraded over time. So what I would do is I would just remove all of that. I would do a full paint correction on it because it's black and it's all swirled out. So I would do that, and then I would just ceramic coat the whole car. So I don't know, you probably have to sink about $5,000 into this car just to fix, well, just to replace the air suspension and then to fix some of the paint and some of the cosmetics on here. I don't know, you probably have to sink like $5,000 to do all of that and retint the vehicle. But otherwise, I think you're pretty good here. And obviously you have to pay for the warranty. But if you have a little bit more disposable income, I think this is worth it. This is such a satisfactory driving experience. It still drives like a brand new car. This has 100,000 miles, by the way. Totally forgot to mention that. 100K miles, but it's probably in the title, so you already saw it. But it still drives and feels and looks fresh. I like the exterior design. I like the way the power comes on. Sure, there can be a slight lag, but that's something I don't care about because it's a turbocharged engine. We already know that. It's going to have some form of lag associated with it. I would put slightly stickier tires on here as well. I would stick to all-season tires, but I would get the most aggressive one. I would put the Michelin Pilot 4 all-season tires on here because that has near summer tire levels of grip, so I would throw those on there. So that's my look at the drive and all the things that you might have to do for the upkeep of this vehicle. Let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior space real quick. Okay, the interior of these kind of E-Class Benzes, I've always liked it because it's simplistic, it's elegant, it works, and it's a little bit more solid clearly than something like the C-Class models of the Benz lineup. The gauges look fantastic, and it has like this digital readout which still looks great in the middle. Easy to use, you can toggle through it, you can see some of the navigation updates, the audio, your trip information. This vehicle does utilize blind spot monitoring, push button start. You have the Mercedes-Benz clock, you have a little display here, which, you know what, I actually kind of like using. I don't mind this infotainment screen. It's easy, and you have this little rotary knob to use the screen with. I like the way this wood trimming looks, especially on the dash and on the side of the door here. The black leather looks decent. Again, I would just give it one last good detail, and that should really come out pretty shiny there. But yeah, for the most part, I do like the leather work in here. It's not bad. It's not perfect, but it looks good at least. You have a little sunroof here. I will say, if you're a little bit of a taller individual, the CLS isn't quite the most practical choice because the headroom in the front and the rear, it's not that fantastic because it has this low slung coupe look. So I'm 5'11", so if you're over 6 feet tall, something to note there. Not everybody's going to fit. That's going to be a huge con. But the seats are extremely comfortable. You can do a long journey in this and not be fatigued. Harman Kardon sound system actually sounds pretty good. I do appreciate that. And this car does have Bluetooth audio. You have automatic headlights. You have a physical parking brake actually, which is interesting to see in a car like this. The turn signal can be confused with the Discerning safety thing where, you know, that radar cruise control stock, it's also placed near the turn signal, so I'm not a huge fan of that. So you have heated and cooled seats. You have a little power sunshade in the rear there, which is very slow to react. I think it's because it's gotten a little bit sticky over time, but it still works, and you have it there, so that's good. And you have a little keypad here to dial a phone number, plenty of buttons here. And I love the way they have done the HVAC controls in this generation of the E-Class interiors with the rotary dial for the temperature setting. So I think that's cool. You have two cup holders here. This little wood piece is a bit sticky. It doesn't automatically retract back, but that's kind of where your ashtray is. The glove box has a decent amount of space as well. And the rear seats, I can definitely fit back there. I'm 5'11", as I already mentioned. But again, you're not going to be stretching out back there like it's an S-Class, but it's a 4-seater. The middle portion, which is, you know, it's probably best for this car because there's not much space in the middle seat of most cars anyway. So you have this pretty baller lounge setup with plenty of space in the middle there. Again, some of that wood hasn't aged the best, and a piece of that leather has kind of come out a little bit, but something to note there. And you do have vents back there as well. Trunk space is decent, and you do have a spare tire back there as well, which is a great thing to see. So for the most part, do I recommend this car? Yeah, I mean, I love driving this car, but just know what you have to deal with before you pick one of these things up. The upkeep, the insurance, the fuel, a warranty, which is an absolute must, and a lot of these little exterior things that you have to fix up on it. Maybe some people can live with it. I don't know. This is such a nice car. I would want to bring it back to its former glory. I would want a ceramic coat. I would want to take the swirl marks out. I would want to retint it. And that's the other thing. You have to find a reputable shop to do all this stuff with. So that's something else to keep in mind. So none of that is going to be cheap. Get it if you love driving. Get it if you love this twin turbocharged V8. I don't think the CLS550 is necessary. I think this is going to be ballistic amounts of speed out on the streets for you. So I'm going to leave all the Carry Imports information down in the description box. And if you want to see my thoughts on the CLS650, I'm going to have it on the end screen here. So click on it and I will see you there.